everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I thought I'd share with you some calligraphy tips and pen recommendations and basically just share how I started and learnt calligraphy. I think the main thing about calligraphy is learning about how to apply the right amount of pressure with the type of pen, and I think it's easier to start out with a pen with a harder tip, which is easier to control, and then once you kind of get the hang of it, you can move on to different types of pens and you'll find that it's a lot easier to learn calligraphy that way. So the first pen is the Tombow Fudenosuke, and I'm sure you've all heard a lot about this pen, but I have the hard tipped one, and this is actually the pen that I learnt calligraphy with. I find that this pen is really nice since you can still get line variation, but it's really easy to control, so that's why I think this pen is great for beginners. There is also a Tombow Fudenosuke soft tip, which I haven't tried yet, but I think that the hard tip is really nice to start out with since, as I said, it's really easy to control, so I think it's a really good way to start off learning calligraphy. The second pen is the Pentel Sign Pen, and this is personally my favorite pen to do calligraphy with. I think this pen, the tip is still really easy to control, but it's a little softer than the Tombow Fudenosuke hard tip, which makes it really easy to do line variations, and there are also lots of colors available which I really like, and they're mostly in the pastel kind of range, which I also really like as well. I think this pen would also be a great pen for people who are just starting out with calligraphy, since the pen tip is, I find, the right flexibility, but I also think that it's a pen that you'll enjoy using even after that kind of beginner stage where you're still trying to figure out the pen pressure and everything. The next pen is the Crayola Super Tip, and I'm sure you've all heard a lot about this pen as well, but I really like it since there are so many colors, but I find that using this pen is a bit different to, I guess, other calligraphy pens since the tip is quite different. You kind of have to learn how to apply pressure with like different angles as well. I'm not sure if this makes sense, but I'm also still kind of learning how to use this pen for calligraphy, but I find that it's a little harder, at least for me, to learn calligraphy with this pen than something like the Tombow Fudenosuke or the Pentel Sign Pen. The next pen is the Zig Brushable pen, and I also really like this pen. It's a felt tip brush pen, but I wouldn't really recommend this if you are a beginner starting out, since these tips are easier to ruin than something like the Fudenosuke or the Sign Pen. And the thing I like about these pens is that it's double-ended. There are two colors of, I guess, the same color scheme, but basically you get a 2-in-1, and I also find that the flexibility of the tips is also really good, so it's also quite easy to control, but as I said, it's quite easy to ruin felt tip brush pens, so I wouldn't really recommend that if you are starting out. Next up is the Zig Metallic pen, and I would say that out of all the pens I'm doing today, this tip is the most flexible, meaning it's probably the most hardest to control, so I wouldn't really recommend this if you're just starting out, but the great thing about this pen is that it is metallic, so it does look very cool when it's on top of black paper or like a darker colored paper as well. But yeah, as I said, the tip is quite hard to control, so I wouldn't really recommend this if you're just starting out with calligraphy. Last but not least are the Tombow dual brush pens, and I'm sure you heard a lot about these pens, but they're really great since one end is like a brush and the other end is like a finer tip, so it's really convenient. But there are also so many colors to choose from, especially pastel colors, and there are also like lots of really light pastel colors, so if you like that, I'm sure you'll really like these pens. But I would say that for the actual brush pen itself, the tip is a really good flexibility, but if you don't really know how to hold the pen at the kind of like the right angle, or like how to apply the pressure, it's really easy to ruin the tips of these pens since they're also felt tip as well. So I'd say that these pens are definitely really good and I'd highly recommend, but if you're just starting out, something like the Tombow Fudenosuke or the Pentel Sign Pen would probably be a better choice in my opinion. Now, before I get into the tips portion of this video, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and also turn on post notifications so you get notified every time I upload a new video. So first, I'd just like to talk about what upstrokes and downstrokes are. So in calligraphy, basically you want to make the downstrokes bold and then the upstrokes lighter. And downstrokes are basically just when you draw the letter, your pen kind of goes towards you, and then upstrokes is when the pen goes away from you. But yeah, basically you want to apply more pressure when you are going down, and then when you go up, you basically want to feel like you're lifting the pen off the page, but not quite off the page. But yeah, to achieve the thinner strokes. So a way you can kind of practice this is doing this kind of wave kind of thing exercise, but it's basically when you do your upstroke you do lighter, and then when you do your downstroke you apply more pressure, and you want to achieve like this consistent wave look. Next, I'm just kind of drawing how like letters kind of work, I guess. But yeah, there's the baseline, which is the line that you usually write on. So in a lined notebook, the lines are basically like the baseline. And you can do fun things with ascenders and descenders. You can loop them like how I did with the B. You can do a loop at the top, or you can just go straight down as well. That's kind of like doing different styles of calligraphy, I guess. And then with your descenders, you can also loop them as well. Something that's really easy but adds a cool, fun touch to your calligraphy is doing a gradient, and basically as you can see here, I just kind of color in either the top or the bottom, or you can do the top and the bottom as well with the same pen that you did before, but since you're kind of doing the second layer, the colors are a bit darker, so it looks like you have a gradient. And you can also do this with other colors as well, like different colors, but I find that it works best if the colors are kind of like part of the same kind of, I don't know, group, I'd say, like purples with purples, or like purples with pinks, but not really like purple and like yellow. Like those two colors don't blend very well because they just kind of make brown. But yeah, that's just something that you can kind of experiment with, and just, yeah. Other things you can do to kind of make your calligraphy kind of quirky and fun is varying the baseline, or like changing up the style. So for example, I find that if you keep all the letters on the baseline, it looks more like structured and organized, but if you kind of vary the different I guess baselines of a word, then it looks more quirky and fun, and like, I don't know, it has that kind of cool touch to it that I really like. And then you can also vary the distance between the letters, and I find that that also changes up how the overall calligraphy looks. Something else I like to do is to make the, I guess, ends of the letters go like closer together. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but you can kind of see with like the B how the stem of the letter is kind of arched. It's not like straight down, but the stem of the B and then the curve of the B, they kind of are like closer together, like they go into each other, compared to the second one when I write believe, where it looks like a lot more structured. I find that the first one looks a lot like, I guess, quirky and fun. Another look is writing the word quicker. This is kind of what I'm doing here, but it gives that kind of more rustic look to calligraphy, and I think that that also has its own like unique and beautiful element to it. But yeah, like there are areas where the pen might dry out a bit, so that also, like, some people don't like that, but I think depending on the style you're going for, it can look really cool as well. I hope these tips were helpful and that you enjoyed the video. If you do, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button and turn on post notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!